What if the Fed is not behind the curve? What if interest rates are supposed to stay high now because the economy itself has changed? That is the warning hidden inside new comments from Federal Reserve official Tom Barkin. Barkin said artificial intelligence investment is putting pressure on the neutral interest rate. That sounds technical, but it may be one of the biggest macro stories of 2026. Because the neutral rate is the invisible line between restrictive policy and easy policy. If that line moves higher, then today's interest rates may not actually be that restrictive anymore. And that changes everything. This is the hidden AI story. Not chatbots, not NVIDIA hype. AI may be changing the entire rate environment underneath the economy. For the last 2 years, markets believed rate cuts were inevitable. Inflation cools, growth slows, the Fed cuts. Simple. But AI investment may be breaking that formula. Barkin pointed directly at construction, labor, electricians, and all the infrastructure needed to build the AI boom. That is the key insight. AI sounds digital, but the inflation pressure is physical. Data centers need land, steel, energy, cooling systems, transmission lines, and thousands of workers. This is not just software floating in the cloud. It is becoming one of the largest private investment booms in modern history. And that matters for your wallet. Because if AI spending keeps the economy strong, the Fed has less reason to cut rates. Mortgage rates stay high. Car loans stay expensive. Credit card debt remains painful. Business borrowing stays tight. The market sees AI as future productivity. The Fed sees AI as current demand. That difference is everything. Over time, AI could absolutely lower costs and make workers more efficient. That is the bullish story investors are betting on. But before any of that happens, the economy has to physically build the machine first. And building the machine is inflationary. That is the real tension. Wall Street is pricing tomorrow's productivity gains, while the Fed is dealing with today's construction boom. In simple terms, the Fed is pressing the brake while AI is pressing the gas pedal at the same time. And if both happen together, the economy may not slow down the way policymakers expected. That is why the last mile of inflation becomes so difficult. Barkin even warned that the longer inflation stays elevated, the harder it becomes to fully bring it down. Because the Fed is no longer fighting only consumer demand. It may now be fighting a structural investment cycle. Here is the deeper second-order effect. Most people think AI mainly impacts tech stocks, but the bigger story may be that AI changes the cost of money itself. If major companies keep spending hundreds of billions building AI infrastructure, that creates a permanent floor underneath economic demand. Construction stays strong, industrial jobs stay strong, wages stay sticky, and inflation pressure does not disappear easily. That may push the neutral rate higher, meaning the economy can tolerate higher rates without collapsing. And if that is true, then the Fed may keep rates elevated far longer than markets expect. That changes the outlook for almost every asset class. First, bonds may remain under pressure. If the neutral rate is structurally higher, long-term yields may not return to the ultra-low world investors became used to after 2008. Second, growth stocks become more complicated. The biggest AI winners may continue soaring, but the rest of the market still suffers if borrowing costs stay elevated. Third, consumers remain trapped in the middle. Wall Street celebrates the AI boom, while households still face expensive financing everywhere. So what should investors watch next? Watch data center spending, electricity demand, construction wages, and most importantly, listen carefully to how Fed officials talk about the neutral rate. Because if more policymakers start saying what Barkin just said, this stops being one comment. It becomes a regime shift. The real story here is not that AI causes inflation forever. That would be too simplistic. The real story is timing. AI may create inflation first and productivity later. The market wants the future benefits immediately, but the Fed still has to survive the build-out phase first, and that may keep rates higher for much longer than investors want. AI is no longer just a tech story. It is now a rate story, a bond market story, a housing story, and a consumer story. Because AI may not just be changing companies. It may be changing the economy's speed limit itself. This is Macro Pulse, Global Notes by JP. If you found this helpful, comment, like, share, and hit the bell.